The last thing to talk about in terms of understanding some basic terminology is tone. Now, tone's weird because it's adding gray to your color, and it makes it hard to kind of understand if you're not 100% familiar with all these terms right off the bat, because like, okay, well, I'm adding white, I'm adding black, I get that. Why would I want to add gray to a color? And there are going to be times where that's going to make sense depending on the color that you're trying to get or the mood that you're trying to create. So it works just the same as shade and tint, but you're adding gray, or half shade, half tint, gray, right? And the more gray you add to that blue, the more it's going to start to drift towards gray. So, kind of sort of the same thing. Think on a spectrum. If the hue is 0, as we add gray all the way up to say 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 would be gray. And everything in between is going to be like your steely colors of gray. So like you see, or your steely colors of blue. So like you see right here, we have a very almost kind of like, fresh industrial steel color. Like, it's just come out, and, it's got kind of that weird metally bluey color. There you go. But those are the 4 basic terms. You need to kind of commit those to memory, have them in the back of your brain, or if you want to, pause the video and write them down. Hue is the color itself. Shade is adding black to the hue. Tint is adding white to the hue. And tone is adding gray to the hue. So why is all this important? Well, anytime you're doing any type of design or any type of creative process, whether if you're talking about watercolors, or you're talking about, making an illustration for your social media, or you're talking about color grading in, say, DaVinci or Adobe, colors matter. Colors matter a lot. And depending on how you blend those colors and put those colors together, it can make for a certain mood, it can make for a very appealing image, or it can make for a very disturbing image. And knowing how to manipulate color will allow you to be more creative in your process. So let's look at a couple examples of bad. So if I take a green, I take a purple, and I take a yellow, and let's go with a weird red, and then this kind of soft orangey color. Does that look good? If I stopped and I went over here to Canva and I put all these colors together, is that going to make for a good image? Well, let's take a look. So we'll just make a bunch of squares real quick, and we'll pick a green and shove him over there. And then we'll pick a purple, and then we'll pick, I think we had a blue. Yeah. And let's get a weird orangey. Oh, well, we'll just do 2, whatever. Let's get a blue back in there, and then one other random color. We'll do this red, right? If I put all these together in some type of format, and we'll get one more, otherwise my OCD will drive me crazy. And we'll just pick yellow. Does that look good? Would that make for a good document and a good color pattern for, say, something that needed to look really clean, really tight, really commercial? Probably not. You kind of got a rainbow of colors going on here, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're going for. Imagine if you were making, say, like a children's book, right? Well, you're going to want a ton of color, and you're going to have a ton of color going on. But if you're trying to make something commercial, or you're trying to make something that has like a gritty or a grim dark or a moody feel to it, these aren't going to work. If you're just trying to make something that looks artistically good, having all these colors together doesn't really match very well. And you're not going to create something that looks clean and professional. You're going to create something that looks, well, kind of like a hodgepodge, lack of a better way to put it. So that's why all this is important. Learning how colors go together to create the most pleasing, or whatever mood you're trying to create, or whatever feeling you want the viewer to experience, is really important for your artistic process and expressing your creativity. So what we're going to be going into is all of these different setups for color. Analogous, chromatic, triad, complementary, compound, and then we're going to cover shade. We technically already covered it, but I want you to understand what it is. This is why Adobe Color is such a powerful tool. It does a lot of the work for you. It does a lot of the thinking for you. You know that whenever you come over here and you click on triad, and you go down here and you pull the color codes, it's going to be a good color, and it's going to be a color that most other programs are going to know, they're going to understand, they're going to accept it. There's not going to be weird stuff. Whether if you're talking about Canva, or you're talking about Premiere, you're talking about Corel, or whatever. In general, everybody's going to accept something either similar to Adobe Color or Adobe Color itself in terms of the color codes. So that's why this is so important, knowing how to get the best out of your color combinations to create that style, that art, that mood, or that clean look, or that vibe that you're going for, and create a more professional feel to your work. Even if you are trying to go for rainbow explosion or unicorn explosion, whatever you want to call that, if you know how to do it right, and you know how to blend your colors right, having a lot of this, having a little bit of that, having this with this, it can just really take your project to the next level. That's why, yet again, this is such an important tool for you to have in your toolkit. On top of that, it's free.